Ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, and children of all ages, tonight, Fire Talk episode 48. Today is September 16th. Tonight, we are going to talk about what's going on in Illinois, what is going on with the immigration transfer, going on with the railroad strikes, and all the fun in that, and some little bit of TikTok drama going on. So, this and more on Fire Talk Radio.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to.
Hey, welcome back, Ryan.
What up?
And our two guests. Go ahead and introduce people to our guests today.
So we have our guests from TikTok fame. We have Conservative Tex and Kat. There was a really weird beef that was going on TikTok, and I kind of got stuck into it. Well, not stuck. I got involved and engaged in this because
I'm not gonna lie, you guys. This week when Ryan told me about this, and we're not saying what it is yet, but I had no idea that this tweet went out a year ago.
A lot of people didn't know, and that's
I was completely oblivious.
I remember the tweet. I forgot all about it. I was like, I remember him doing it, but I forgot the conversation had already came and gone, and then the conversation came back, and I was like, and he responded, and
yeah,
I was like,
and then this whole week, well, at least half the week, it's been like a drama on TikTok. I've been watching.
Yeah,
and it's been entertaining.
Soap opera.
Yes, a soap opera. Watching it unfold in real time. So, I'm gonna ask you guys, explain what happened.
So
I had never actually.
Video went out first. Whose video went out
first? Did. Well, so Shipwreck actually made a video because she had never heard of it either.
She made it Sunday. She made it
through my video.
Right.
So there was a situation between me and another creator that really has nothing to do with this. And I had remembered that creator had gone very, very hard for Trapped when it because it did come onto the app a while ago. Because there was another creator, Clumsy Gemini, who covered all of this, and she's been going back and forth with him since April. And he goes back and forth with her. Wow. So I had brought up the Trapped situation, and somebody had commented on my video, "What Trapped situation?" And I said, "Oh, let me show you." So I showed all the tweets, and I didn't really think that he was gonna react. I mean, I get it, but I didn't think that he was gonna triple down on it and quadruple down on it. And
yeah, that's the thing is,
and
you didn't tag him or anything.
No, I didn't. And then Shipwreck had made a video because she had never seen them, and she was like, "Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the."
She actually tagged Trapped's official account with that
she
post.
Did. And then he found hers, and then he had everybody has a different definition of doxing, right? He had put some of her personal information out there that she doesn't put out there. Whether you want to call that doxing or just really crappy, go about. He had put some of her personal information out there in regards to that video. We are all very, very close with her and love her dearly and love what she does. And she's very good at what she does. And
I'm still waiting for an email back from her because she was going to sit in on a show in October, and she just hasn't gotten back to me with a damn date yet.
She's busy. She'll
get there.
Oh no! I'm just giving. I love giving people grief.
So this I have the screenshot up. That from the video there. This is what she showed here is a I guess this is a reply. This isn't even the original tweet that he made, but this is a reply that Chris Brown something. What is
Chris
it?
from
Chris
Trapped.
Tyler Brown. Chris Taylor Brown.
I was gonna say, I just call him Trapped.
Yeah.
Because that's what he calls himself.
So basically what happened was, from what I gathered, because I had to go back and look things up, there was a 25-year-old teacher that had a sexual relationship with one of her 15-year-old students.
Mhm.
And we're all in agreement that this is all a no-no.
Like,
Yes.
okay,
The original story from him, at least, was he was talking about the song "Hot for Teacher." He keeps bringing that up, but there was
Yeah,
really
man.
no.
I'm sorry.
I want to
Van Halen
talk about that in a
Van Halen song in the prospects of the student fantasy with a child to a teacher, yes.
right.
But that's what Van Halen. But that was Van Halen, and that was the 70s.
Mhm.
It was
Has
80s.
nothing or
but,
whatever.
So basically what happened is he defended it, saying, you know, the 15-year-old can't be raped because he's a guy, and because he's a guy, guys are stronger naturally, therefore we can't be raped.
Mhm.
Which, and then he goes, and if you say it's rape, it's a technicality,
Mhm.
which
Technicality being the age.
I'm gonna technicality being the well,
Technicality is
I
the
mean, that's a big technicality.
not just the age though. So this is my thing that I told Ryan, is that it's not just the age, because there's also the
Mindset.
not just the mindset. There's the age, there's the mindset, but then there's also the fact that the teacher in this case has authority over the child.
Yes, that part kind of got left in.
And
out,
that's
like,
the
lost
part
in
where
translation.
even more so than the age, to me, crosses all kinds of boundaries.
Sure.
And I'll
I
say
agree.
this, as everyone knows on here, I coach middle school and high school wrestling. I coach youth wrestling. I'm a substitute teacher. There are major boundaries that you set up. I won't even let my wrestlers, guys that are 16, 17, 18, I won't even let them friend me on any social
Mhm.
media until after they graduate.
Yep.
Smart.
I have girls on my team. I have guys on my team. It has the age of consent in Michigan is 16, unless there is a power dynamic in there,
Right.
i.e., a teacher or
Teacher.
something of the sort.
Well, the thing is
So-
that in every state in the United States, the
Yes.
age of consent does not fall below 16 in every
No,
single
correct.
state. That's
Right.
that's the minimum age in every state.
Minimum age in any state. Ryan's is actually 18 in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
So there's nowhere that this is not rape.
Right. No,
Even
there's
if-
no circumstance where it's not rape.
So taking it from that standpoint, he actually doubles down on this.
Yes.
Let me I'm gonna pull up a video.
Double
I'm
and
only gonna play
quadruple,
a
actually.
Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
quadruple it.
Yeah.
Well, if you
I'm
read
gonna
the
pull
news
this up
Thing
article,
is-
and
While
if
he's
you read
pulling
the-
that up, I met Chris back in 2005 at
I was gonna say,
HFS
I've actually
Festival.
met him. I guess he just doesn't remember. They tour with. We used to be friends with the people in a band who tours with him and is always at Token with him in Michigan.
Yeah.
So we've met him
Yeah.
a couple of times. I thought he was cool when I met him.
I met him at a radio station and at a 3-day festival.
Mhm.
and the thing is, like, let me
was he as weird then as he is now?
say this, because I told Ryan this. I'm not saying that I don't agree with anything he's ever said.
No,
There's some stuff that he said that I can say, yeah, I can get on board with that.
Sure.
absolutely.
All right. But in this particular case, he's flat out wrong.
Right.
And the
So I'm
problem
gonna-
is now it's online and it's there forever. And he's going to have to fight this case every time someone that's never seen this before. And he's going to be like, the question is he going to own, like, look, I know what I said, or yeah, no, I still stand by it. That's
Right.
going
Ryan,
to
he
be
did do
the.
that. He came out a year ago.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not saying he didn't.
And then
So-
flipped it again and was like, nope, never mind. I still feel that way.
So
Yeah,
let me,
no, he's.
let me play this real quick, just a minute of it because it's like 7 minutes long. But
simply made the comparison that men are stronger than women and that women, generally speaking, can't rape men. So that's what started it, and that was Twitter. And then it said, no, women can rape men. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, here comes the technicalities. And then I said, a 15-year-old, when I was 15, and my 25-year-old sophomore year English teacher, if that happened, it would not be pedophilia. It's an older man, a little boy. That's pedophilia, man.
no.
There should be a freaking difference between the two. And I got kicked off for Twitter for saying that they aren't the same thing.
Again, I can't get behind.
I can't get
what he's
behind that
saying
at
here.
all.
Because
That's
it's not only the
totality of
statement,
age.
right? But it's not just the statement, it's the butterfly effect of that statement. And I think
Yeah,
people get very confused, like why, I mean, and text included, because they get confused about text too, like why we tend to go as hard as what we do when we do content like this. I saw a video from another creator who was sexually assaulted when he was younger by an older female. So now you're spreading this. It's rippling out to people who are fans of yours. You have a large platform that you're doing
Right.
this from. And this is now grooming. This is now grooming. This is now
Well, that's a-
telling
that-
people, and it's scaring people from telling their stories. And it's messy.
Yeah.
It's messy.
Well, in
That
that same live that you were showing, he actually says that if a male claims to be a victim, that they are weak.
Mhm.
yes, he does.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Trickles down on
that
it in
is so-
comment sections as well.
that is so wrong because in my view, and actually this is a view of the legal system also, is that there's more than one way to rape someone.
Yes.
There
Oh,
is
yeah.
physical. And I know there was another TikToker that said, well, you know, a 12-year-old that raped a 40-year-old, you know, are you saying that 12-year-old consented and isn't responsible? No, there's different circumstances.
But they don't care what they
But-
what it is it's like this populist thing where like they
Yeah.
can't go against what Trap said because he represents us and he has the same political views as us, which is great when you
It's-
see that, but you can't
Right.
ignore like the pedophilic rhetoric.
There was a lot of people that were claiming that they were in the conservative party rapidly just went fanboy fangirl
Right.
the minute he started talking about it, and they were like, oh, because he's in a band, we gotta no no, not at all. It's not about, because if that was anybody else, they would have torn that man limb from limb.
Oh,
they
and if
would've-
it would have been someone from the left,
Well, if it was, if
they
it
would
was,
they
have
would've-
Exactly.
asked for
if
blood.
it was that left creator, if it was that Good Trouble guy, the whole entire right would
Right.
have joined in. And the funny thing is
Yep.
I had made a statement during the whole vaccine mandates about that vaccine mandates is rape, and
Yeah.
caught me a lot of shit, obviously on TikTok because
I
it
caught you a lot of shit.
shock. But when you boil it down, it's part of this conversation as far as coercing us.
It's coercion.
Coercion.
And yeah, here's the thing. He's saying, well, just because the 15-year-old might have enjoyed it, it's not what it is. I was 15.
Mhm.
Ryan was 15. Tex, you were 15. We were all, us three
Hey,
were
just
15-year-old boys. You
just
were
'cause I'm a
15.
girl doesn't mean that I wasn't. Like,
And
there
I'm
were some
sure
hot
there
older
were
male teachers.
Male
in high school.
teachers, exactly, that you didn't think, you know, that you,
Well, the weird
trust
thing-
me, I had a science teacher that, given the chance, but
Right.
she's the adult.
She's the adult.
I had a lady
Yeah.
comment. I had a lady comment saying that she was victimized at 25 by a 16-year-old, and I'm like, how? You're the adult. You can get away. He's a kid. Like,
Right. I
how
mean,
are you
unless there
victimized by a
is,
16-year-old?
unless there is physical force.
Well,
Right.
she said he was pursuing her with gifts and stuff like that, and it just got really uncomfortable.
No,
And
so
she's
then
like,
no.
you're
this
just
is
attracted
like-
to little kids and you don't want to admit it and you want to blame the kid. Like,
Right.
like, really?
Right. You know, and that's again why even as a coach, I will not talk to my wrestlers or students one-on-one. I won't, like, it's not just to protect me from them possibly saying something that didn't happen, which has happened many times before to people I know, where a student said something happened that didn't happen, and it took years for the truth to come out. But also, you have to keep them boundaries.
Yeah.
I still tell all my wrestlers, listen, I may be friendly, but I'm your coach. I'm not your friend.
Right. And that's
Yeah,
an important thing.
I was a youth pastor for a decade, and I had the same boundary. You know, I was never alone, especially with a female student. Without a different adult other than my spouse at the time. Because in Texas, your spouse can't be a witness. So when I learned that, it was like, okay, well, she can't be with me with the other female students. So now I have to make sure that there's always another, at least adult male student with me, or adult male with me at all times, no matter what. It's those boundaries that have to be set up. And while it sucks in today's society, I mean, what we saw it with Brett Kavanaugh. 40 years from now, you know, you don't know what's going to come up if, you know, we end up escalating through somewhere high profile position, and then all of a sudden somebody wants to come out and scream victim.
This also took kind of a weird turn too, because he put out a post. He doxed you guys too.
Yeah.
So
I think he didn't put like
way worse than you. Like,
I was gonna say, I don't think he put your actual address out, but he called out like a house you were selling or something.
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't do that directly. He had another creator do it for him.
Okay.
No, so he didn't have now, and I'll defend him here. I don't think he had the creator do it, but the creator did it, because the creator's been the one, and he admitted it today in his post that this other creator, Misfit Patriot, has been giving him information about us and other creators. And yeah, he called out my full legal name, and then also mentioned about my house selling and whatnot. Everything. I mean, at this point, it's like, what do you do? But
imagine that being your go-to. If you're gonna go that crazy that quick, like that was
great.
That
you're getting into stalker territory.
This isn't new. Like, you've been all over the news for this. People have written articles about this. If you
think sue us and everything,
this is going to go away, it's not going to go away because you won't even take accountability for it.
He was calling to sue you all, but my thing is, when you go to court, if he does sue you and you go to court and you bring all this in, the judge is going to just laugh. The judge will have. There's nothing to like say, well, you said this, and they didn't say anything demeaning. They were just, you were instigating this conversation.
We're calling him a pedophile, which nobody has. I have not called him. I said, you're pushing pedophilia rhetoric. You are pushing pedophilia content.
That's the thing. Like that no one's ever called him a.
I have not heard anybody call him a pedophile. No.
I'm going to say this because he did put out a tweet about the definition of pedophilia and stuff. There was a joke. I don't know how it ended up on my Facebook feed, but you know how they have like them reels and stuff that showed up. So there was a stand-up comic that showed up on there once, and I'm going to hopefully say what he says more or less correct. So wait for the punchline. Otherwise it sounds bad. But he says, and he actually said, he goes, well, listen, there's the definition of pedophilia that is attracted to people under puberty. Then there's hebephilia, which is like, you know, going through puberty. And then there's philophilia, I think it's called. That is people that are at the late stages of puberty, almost into adulthood.
Yeah.
The problem is once you start pointing all this out, it makes you sound like a pedophile.
Yes.
True. That's exactly
right. When you start defending like definite, you're absolutely right.
Or at least sympathizing. So, I mean, he may not be one himself, and I'm not accusing him of being one, but
and I'm not even going to say that the teacher meets the definition or anything like that. It may have just been she was attracted to this one kid. I don't know the totality.
But that in definition would still be pedophilia, even if it was a one-time deal. You were attracted to a child.
Right.
that is the definition of
So-
pedophilia. Like, there's no getting around that.
So,
No.
she's definitely a predator.
Mhm.
I would agree.
100%.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing. So when he's doubling down and he's coming out with these definitions to try to defend himself, and he's coming out at some point, you would think like an agent or someone would just say, dude, you just need to stop.
Well, the
Like,
guy
those
who
are-
runs his social media is a TikToker. I mean, he doesn't. So from what I can gather, they're very like independent. They don't have like a label. They don't do. They're very big on like self-made. So like these PR people that he picks are random people from the internet.
Yeah.
To
so
run
TikTok.
his
So like he
social-
goes to Fiverr and says,
Yeah.
No, he
so
just- he
no
just-
one is
he
saying.
picks them off of
I don't know
TikTok.
how no one's saying anything to him.
No, I've been
He
tagging.
was doing it
his-
for the tour bus.
No,
Yeah. I was like, at the time he's doing on the.
I have been tagging his the social media manager, but he doesn't ever.
Oh, have you?
Oh.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, he should probably
My-
just.
I'm like, hey Jake, what do you have to say about that? And he won't
Mhm.
respond.
Didn't
I've
you-
tagged him numerous times.
Because I remember Chris said something about your fiance, Tex, and then I saw the TikTok where you said, "Oh, well then fine, you're gonna bring mine in. I'm gonna message your fiance."
And I did.
That
I tagged her.
that was entertaining to actually read because I saw you put the post of the conversation up. I said, well, I was like, yeah, that would be I think Chris, you might have to start thinking about your relationship there. If she's like, no.
Good on her though. Like good on
Absolutely.
you, girl, for just being like, no. I mean, she could have not commented. She could have just blocked him. She could have just called Chris privately, but she publicly was like, absolutely not.
But I think it's more of the mama bear situation because they asked about, well, you have children.
Yeah, she
What
has
would you feel if he did that?
Yep.
And that's when it was like, that's probably when those, because we all have kids here.
Yep.
There's no fucking way. If my son came, I was like, my teacher did this. I think I would
yeah,
have
I
to
wouldn't
not
do
stop my
like he
wife
said
from
and give
killing.
him a high
Yeah.
five and say,
Right.
good job. No, I
If
would
we're
be
being
livid.
honest, if my 17-year-old son, which is legal, a year past legal consent in Michigan, so legally there would be nothing that I can do. But if a teacher took advantage of their position to,
Yeah.
Oh, in a
to get,
100%
I don't care if
heartbeat.
they're 17 years old, you don't sleep with your students. Like even
no.
college professors will lose their job for sleeping with students.
Exactly. And and that's the thing is it's the age plus the position.
Hmm.
Prison guards. There was just a story I read about a prison guard that just got convicted and is going to prison because she slept with an inmate. Obviously, they were both
The
of
one where
legal
she
age.
helped him break out afterwards.
No, this
No,
is a
no,
different
this
one.
is a
That
different
was
one.
a good
Epic
one
though,
too.
right?
That was in Louisiana, I think. I
No,
think
no,
this one
no.
was
The
in
one that helped him
California.
break out and then ran and then
Yeah,
committed suicide at the end
that's
of it.
even
Just
worse.
kind of.
That was
But-
something, man. That was a story.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's
But-
still no better than the transgender in the New Jersey one that got another.
that
woman
got two
pregnant.
women pregnant. Yes.
While the guards were there, the guards were in the unit.
Oh my lord. We're just
Uh,
not watching our prisons properly.
But this prison guard, and I have friends. I worked in law enforcement, so
This is how COVID
Um,
got into the prison system.
It's
It is.
exactly how
It probably, it's probably what happened. I won't lie there. It's probably what happened.
But anyway, the point is because there was a power dynamic.
Mhm.
That's why the prison guard was convicted of rape.
Right.
Doesn't matter that they both consented.
Yep.
You guys weren't allowed to consent
Right.
with each other. That was against the law right there. So even again, I come back to the adult, the teacher, the person that has the upper power dynamic in that relationship.
Authority.
Yes, the authority.
Sorry if
That's
I look
coercion.
distracted.
Even if the victim doesn't think it was coercion, Even if the
Right.
victim, maybe the 15-year-old, hypothetically, I'm not saying this happened. Hypothetically, a 15-year-old is sending flowers and,
Mhm.
you know, edible arrangements and anything else to woo the teacher. It doesn't matter.
No.
There's still a line you
Our
don't.
YouTube chat
They're
is
still
blowing
a
up.
minor, they're still
Oh,
a
yeah.
kid, and they're still the student.
Yeah.
So there is no defense to this that I can see.
No.
And the fact that he does, and this is a bad thing, like you said, Tex, is it makes it so that people that do end up in these situations don't want to come forward when they should,
And
because
that's
they're
my
ashamed.
biggest problem, especially because he's using the analogy of it being a boy.
Right.
I know that women struggle with coming forward, absolutely, and I'm not taking anything away from female victims. I'm not. But male victims have a hard time coming forward as it is because there's that stigma, right? There's just this
Oh, yeah.
stigma of like what a man is, and it's weak if something happens to you.
Exactly.
And it makes you
You get
and-
ostracized,
right?
or at least you feel like you do because
Or you made
of
fun
comments
of.
like this, or you get made fun of.
Yep.
Or, you know, when I was in law enforcement, I won't say the age of the child, but there was a boy and an older woman. He was not of age, and we caught them in a park in a car. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
When we got done and we put her in handcuffs, we called his parents. My partner, we're standing outside the car, and he was older than me. I was in my early 20s at the time. He was probably older than I am now. And his comment was, man, when I was his age, I couldn't get girls my age. And he's got someone like that. And I'm looking at him thinking, are you kidding me?
And see, like there's personal reasons why I'm very like, it irritates me. Somebody who is who's close to me, who I love, he was a victim when he was a younger kid. His mom was on a lot of drugs at the time, and there was just people coming in and out of the house all the time and random babysitters. And it became like a game for these older women who were blown out and who were babysitting to sleep with him. And he really didn't wrap his head around it until he was older.
Right.
What
He
it
probably
was,
thought
like,
it was
he
just
and
thought
that
he
was
was
my
like
thought
so
to this.
cool because he was 15 and like hooking up with these chicks. But now as an adult, he can feel that and he's like, whoa, this wasn't okay. Like, what the hell happened to me?
No, that's my thing is like my son's 11. He's still in that very childhood mindset. I
Mhm.
don't want him to grow up too early.
No,
And something like this
way
changes
too early. It
way
does.
too early. It changes your childhood.
Oh,
And then
even
there's
if it
also
was-
like this analogy going around that, like, if you don't feel like a victim, then you weren't a victim. And it's like, come on, guys, we know like how human trafficking works, that they take these kids when they're little and they breed them up to where these kids think that this is normal behavior because it's all that they know. They don't know
Right.
that they're victims, but they're still potentially victims. And then it was, well, what if Chris was speaking from personal experience? Okay, even if he was, which he's come out himself and said, no, I was not. This was not a personal situation. Even if he was, he can be a victim and still be doing the wrong thing with it and still be
Oh,
still
absolutely.
pushing grooming
Absolutely.
shit. And there's no excuse for that. Just because you're a victim doesn't mean that you get to help re-victimize. Like you're
Did-
encouraging this kind of behavior.
But he
You're
said that
normalizing
that
it,
never
and it
happened
shouldn't be
to him, though, right?
normalized.
Yes, he did. He made a public statement because another creator had made a video, a very dramatic video, talking about how me and Tex were just monsters because he was that 15-year-old boy. And it was very dramatic. I mean, the music was just.
But he came out and said no, that
came out
he
and told
wasn't
that
the actual
creator, like,
victim.
yo, weirdo, that didn't happen to me. Like, that wasn't me. So
Yeah.
now
Because
Because there was at one point he was alluding that it, like the way that he was
he alluded that.
made it
Yes.
seem like
Yeah.
it was his personal story. But then in
Yes.
news articles, when he gave news interviews, it was all a joke. The tweets were a joke. Everything was a joke.
It
And so that's
changed
why it's
every
like-
time on what started it and why he said it. Every time that he tells the story, it's different.
So let me ask you this, because this is something he brought up. Do you guys work for TikTok or any of the government
NATO,
agencies,
NATO.
or any
no,
of
I'm
that?
not with NATO. I'm just a guy that works from home.
I signed an NDA. I can't talk about it. However, I have changed my screen name to Cat Soros now over on
Oh,
the
good.
apparently I work.
I love that.
But that's what
NDA.
happens though, right? Like when you say something that people don't want people to know, then it has to build up around like this discredit campaign. This
Right,
like
right.
but like
So
he's just not
my-
good.
my
He's
thing
very
is-
uncomfortable stuff.
For Trapped, if you're listening, this podcast so far has made, I think, $5. We are not getting paid by anybody.
No, I can't even.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
join the creator fund. When me and Tex go live, we don't do the gifting on the TikTok lives.
Right.
Like I'll do fundraisers where I don't have the money and it goes directly to where it needs to go, so that there's always receipts. I'll do those, but I'm definitely not paid by TikTok. I'm not in any kind of creator fund. I don't work for NATO. I don't know how to hack into people's phones and stuff. Like,
I mean,
That's such a weird thing, though, to come out with. And
well,
to
here, this
say,
was my problem with
thing
it.
is, why does he think he's so damn popular to even think that NATO would come
right?
for him?
The ego
And
that
thing
the
is
government
he
is worried about the
truly-
guy from Trapped.
and he truly believes this, that they're after him.
He
Like,
does.
even talking to like one of his personal friends outside of TikTok, he does believe this, like that the government is.
You know,
out to
you know
get
who
him.
else thought this? You know who else thought this is now on a rebound now? Scott Stapp from Creed.
Mm-hmm.
In 2019, he lost his mind, thought aliens were after him, FBI was after him.
Yep.
He was running through the woods.
I'm not
It's like his
familiar with
wife.
that. No,
His
I'm
wife-
going to have to look that up.
His wife went up and
Don't
said,
make a
if you
TikTok
see
about it.
him,
I'll come at you.
but in the last 2 years, he has literally bounced back up, gotten himself clean, gotten himself steady, level-headed. He's back to making music, and he sounds better than ever.
Ever. But that's the
And
problem with a lot of like he was also very getting into like conspiracy theory, which I love.
yes,
I'm obsessed with it. I love all the weirdness. I
oh
love
no,
all the alien things. I
but
love
he
all
took
that.
it. He took it way too far sometimes.
Sometimes they don't come back up. They never come back
Right.
up for air.
It reminds me of Wile E. Coyote running off that cliff and doesn't realize the ground is gone.
Mhm.
Right.
But there were
Until he's-
drugs involved with that though too. Yeah.
So let me ask you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tex, what's it been like this week, like response from people and anything like that? Because I mean, you've had to have blown up a bit from this.
You know, it's been mixed. I mean, like I have like some core support that, you know, ride or dies that will absolutely defend, especially this particular topic. And what he's, then you got your haters, of course, the defenders of him that are fangirling. And so
I'm
those
going to
people
say the infamous whiteboard. I caught
Oh,
a
you guys
piece
saw
of that
that?
live.
How
I
weird was that? That was
I
weird.
caught
Yeah,
a piece
live.
of that where he was talking with it was Paris and someone else, and then this big old whiteboard showed up, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just walk into?
I
This
slept
is
through it.
TikTok. Why are we on whiteboards?"
CSI talk.
did you conspiracy they got with it though? Like they put this whole.
I'm
web
trying to
together,
figure out why the fuck they used a permanent marker on a goddamn whiteboard.
Then there's that
We're all
too.
confused, but
Well,
hey,
like they-
good on them for using permanent marker because now it's
Permanent.
the winning. It's the winning auction item for the donations that we're running for the flood victims. Whoever donates the most actually gets the whiteboard now.
Tell us about this auction that you have going.
So we do a lot of these anyways. We've already done one for Kentucky. Me and General Pribs. We did a live where we auctioned off. She had a really embarrassing photo of her dressed in colonial gear. She hates it. We auctioned it off. Surprisingly enough, we were able to raise over $4,000 in an hour.
Wow. Wow.
bought generators, all kinds of stuff. So when all of this, you know, like TikTok can get really overwhelming, especially if you are someone who does that kind of content where you call out poor behavior or, you know, it gets very dramatic and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and it escalates so big and it's either going to keep going on forever, which it doesn't need to do. We get it.
Mhm.
But it's turning like this negative into a positive. So obviously there's a lot of attention around it right now. There's a lot of attention around creators fighting with each other right now. People are kind of sick of seeing it. People get sick of it quickly. So the idea was just to turn it into a positive.
That's good.
So we
So,
are doing
and this goes
another
to
fundraiser.
the
This time
the
we're
flood
auctioning
and
off like very dramatic items. So
nice.
it'll be good.
And this all goes. Is it still going on? Like
It-
GoFundMe or anything?
No, like there was like a weird rumor that we were doing a GoFundMe, which we've
Okay.
never done. So there's a creator of the Cute KY shop, and she's been doing a lot of the fundraising for this. It's pretty much been her mission over on the talk, and we've tried to support her as best as we can in it. So the way that it's running is all donations either go directly to her, and she always posts updates of receipts where everything went. And then there's also Amazon wish lists where you can purchase like rebuild items that they need. There's also a Christmas list because Christmas is coming up and like
Oh yeah.
these people with kids, man.
I don't even want to think
How
about
are they going to
Christmas.
afford Christmas? I don't want to do Christmas. Could you imagine losing everything and having to do Christmas? Like, oh. So there's
Oh,
also
man,
like
that
a
would be
Christmas
sad.
portion. And we just decided that after the whiteboard incident, we were called a lot of really horrible things and accused of a lot of really horrible things. So if we're going to be an asshole, we're going to be an asshole with a purpose. And we'll auction off really dramatic items from dramatic things that we've done on the app and then fun ones. And there's a wheel and people can win prizes. You can win the whiteboard. You can win Fiegel's crop top. You can win Texas hat.
I want that. I want that infamous trap.
I was gonna say,
keychain
I'm gonna
with
have
all
to bid
four.
on,
I know. I
military
know. I
logos.
want her to
I love
auction that
that.
off, and I don't think she will. The
will.
keychain, I want.
Yeah.
I saw because he was. I did. Trap was like because it was September 11th, and he goes, "Oh, we're doing this, and all military people are getting in, but yet you're under the impression that they're after you. So
No,
why are
mind
gonna
you,
let them
he
I
said
didn't
that's-
understand.
He said that's why this was to prevent the military from coming into his show.
But we work with them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like somebody else that they reported one of the events that's being done for Jeffrey Epstein. She's like, I called Homeland Security on you guys. Okay, well, last week you just accused us of working with Homeland Security. So you called us to complain about us? Like,
Right.
I struggle. Which one is it?
It's yeah. The logic doesn't quite flow straight. you
I
know?
feel like
It takes
TikTok
some
is
curves.
high
It
school.
It circles around.
I feel like we're in high school with TikTok because there's a group here, there's a group there. This group won't talk to this group. This group will fight with this group until someone else in this group. It's
But
just,
you know, like, and that's why like this was kind of the most surprising thing because for the most part on the conservative side, it's always been save the children. At least ever since I
Oh,
joined,
yeah.
like
100%.
and he's not a part of like any group. And so whenever we started getting the backlash, I'm like, wait, this has to do with kids. Like this is like one of our core values as conservatives. Like,
then, like,
It
a
should,
quote,
this
unquote,
should have never been. This conversation should have never been political in itself. It's, you're an asshole for not liking children, or you're the asshole who want to save the children.
right.
Because you could do it. I'd rather be the asshole trying to save the children than be the asshole on this end. Because
And that's
Well,
these people
one
don't
end
do
you may
well
be
in
an asshole,
jail.
The other end, you're kind of
and
evil.
those ones defending him are the ones calling us fake conservatives. We're the Fed. We're like, and it's like,
No, that's
well,
Raya.
what? Like,
But if you actually look at the whiteboard, another creator pointed this out today. Like, if you actually take a look at that whiteboard, all of the creators that are listed on there are ones who actually do things. They go out, they do events, they work within their school boards. They're doing
You know-
stuff. They're doing fundraisers. They're doing charities. And then the
They're-
side that's like complaining is doing literally nothing but hanging out on
There's-
TikTok, which is fine. But like, don't call us fake.
There's
Right.
there's one creator that I'm surprised that didn't make the whiteboard because he does so much stuff out of Florida, and that's Ant. I'm amazed that they didn't put him on there. And I saw him make a post. He goes, "Everyone's trying to pull me in this TikTok drama, and I really don't have time, and nor do I
And
care."
he won't. He will not.
And I'm like,
shouldn't.
and and that's a good stance on it because he's busy as all ever. And I mean,
Yeah.
He works with
And I
gay.
Good
feel
on
like
him.
everybody kind of has like a job, right? Like everybody has something that they're good at. Everybody has a job in the world, not just what you do for money, but like your job as a human being.
Right.
And Ant has always been able to do content in such a beautiful way that it's so relatable. It's funny. It's, you know,
Right.
positive. It's, and
I will say
and
I
he does
enjoy
good
his
things
morning
with it.
TikToks.
there's no reason for anybody to ever bring him into drama. He stays very neutral with everybody. He's not a call out creator. He loves everybody. And I think that at least I love that they respected that. Like he's pretty universally loved on that app by everybody. And I'm glad that they've left him alone with it because
No, that someone made a TikTok mocking his says conservative Ant's vagina.
I did
Yeah,
see that. I did.
saw that.
I was like, and then he made a post about it. I just started laughing. I was like, well, that happened.
Yep, that
I'm
happened.
moving on now.
So weird.
It is
Yeah,
weird.
no,
like-
I
like
agree with-
some of these same people have made like for my nose, like dick nose, and because it's just so easy to make a TikTok profile. It's not like Facebook and all that where you have to like validate your email address and go through the steps and whatnot. And so it's just since it is so easy, like it takes 2 seconds to just create another TikTok profile.
Yep.
And you can have
Yeah, my wife knows. She's on her like 7th or 8th one now.
TikTok
Who is
is
that?
like a different world.
My
It's like,
wife.
it's like the
And
wild,
she doesn't
wild
even
west.
say anything
So
overly like
you don't have to.
You don't have
she
to.
doesn't. And she's
I
like,
know-
well,
I
I've
know
been banned
creators
again.
that are
I'm
like
like,
just-
for what?
Because I know creators that are just positive, and that's all they do is put out positivity. I mean, that Creative
Mhm.
Wonders guy, he got banned at one point, like 7.8
That- yeah,
million
that was
followers, and
crazy.
literally all he does is just encourage people, and he got.
Well, I mean,
banned.
Ant lost his main account, and he doesn't do like what
Yeah.
is he doing? But then I've seen creators over because my algorithm's weird. Like there is some political, but it's like political conspiracy, and then I'm also on TikTok. And because on my main account, that's what I used to do primarily on there. Like I always kept it about, you know, my health and so that people were able to relate to that. And it was more for like the chronic ill community. They got that account banned, but not my drama accounts, of course. Whatever.
You can ask Jason. I was one
But even
for
on-
like, oh, I'm gonna pull a root on this hole, and I will be like 50 feet down this hole, and I would have pulled every conspiracy theory out in the chain, and I'm like, yeah, I can't. I gotta stop doing this to
From
myself.
like Sunday to Wednesday, I
We
think
have
it
to
was
take a break
Sunday to
from that.
Wednesday. Ryan was sending me like every 45 minutes another video, and I'm like, okay, first off, I have an account, but I have never once posted on there. I don't even really comment. I just watch. Like I'm an
Right.
outside observer on
That's how I
TikTok.
started.
And
Same.
so now my wife,
Now we're
like
just
I said,
causing shitstorms all over the place.
she's been banned a couple times. She has so many. She just started numbering, same name, just a different number. Just
Yep.
keeps going up chronologically.
But I've seen
Um,
creators over on TikTok get banned, and all they do is create content about their health. But someone,
Oh,
yes, because it'll
They're
be
back
like,
well,
you
it's
should
because of the health
give it
sensitivity of
time.
things now. Yeah.
Somebody's always gonna have a problem with you, no matter what kind of content you put out, whether it's positive, call out, sick. You are always going to be the bad guy in somebody's story over and over and over again. Not everyone's going to like you. So, but unfortunately, people get butthurt, and instead of just being like, "Yeah, I don't like them," they report. Like honestly, I'm getting annoyed that people keep reporting Misfit because it's entertaining. Some of these people are just funny to watch themselves just
True.
look stupid.
That's true. Very true.
See, and
So
that's
why mass report it? Like, just leave the freaking accounts alone.
that's my
doing
that's my
go-to.
view on any social media. Is if I had the money to have a social media, is you can put up anything you want. I don't care if it's the most god awful thing that 99% of the people hate, I'm going to keep it up there because I want people to see that.
Right.
I want people to see what type of person you really are,
Mhm.
or, you know.
And that's
But
how I am.
when you
like,
get when you get a video removed that you don't like, then your proof is gone. You're
Right.
Well, that's why, like, whenever I stitch or duets, that's like a hater of mine because I'll from time to time, depending on how good they like come at me, I'll duet it at a comedy, and then if theirs gets removed, they're like, "Oh, you reported it." No, trust me, I want people to see your stupidity. I absolutely
Yeah.
did not
Exactly.
report it.
And
Yeah.
we have a whole segment at the end of our podcast that I post that we play. A lot of times it's all
Dumb
TikToks.
TikToks.
But a lot of times it's just funny stuff that people have done, people have said, stuff like that. But then we always put up the stuff that, hey, this is what the left is saying. This is what, they
Good.
put up there, like kind of like libs of TikTok, but not quite down that. And we put it up
Yeah.
at the end because they need to be shown.
Mhm.
Even
Yeah.
if we don't say anything and we're like,
agree.
yep, that just
Yeah, I
happened.
absolutely agree. And that's why, like, for me,
So,
like,
take
you
that
know,
for what it
I
is.
can, I mean, there's depending on topic, obviously, and what policy and whatnot. I can agree with some liberals on things.
Yeah.
And I have no issues like even duetting when if we're like, that's why I got like in trouble or got hated on because I duetted that Good Trouble guy because what he said was true and accurate and it was funny and it was like, okay, well, I don't like the guy. He don't like me. We know exactly where we stand with each other, but this is one of those things that the topic that, like you said earlier, this isn't a political thing or it shouldn't be. This is just human
No,
morality.
the safety of
right now.
children should never be political, and it's very,
That-
very
right.
sad.
Yeah,
that it
that's the thing. This is
But
a
didn't he
morality
also
issue,
try to-
not a political issue.
Didn't he also try to compare it to men to women's sports too?
Yeah.
I don't
What was
know
that?
what the hell his obsession
Because
with the
they-
sports is.
Because a high school boys soccer team beat the women's national team.
By
3-2.
1 point. By 1 point. He's
So-
acting like they just slaughtered them.
So
In
the
Aren't sex.
okay. So what he's doing, that's a deflection.
Oh, of
He
course.
didn't
Yeah.
want to talk
Oh.
about the issue there, so he's going to try deflecting it. It's called the Mott and Bailey argument, where he can't defend the Mott, which is what he actually said. So he's going to retreat into this other argument, the Bailey, that is more universally accepted. Again, that part that boys shouldn't be competing against girls because naturally men are 30% pound for pound, 30%
Mhm.
more muscle.
Yes.
Okay. I coach wrestling. Again, I have girls on my team. In fact, I have one girl that I'm taking down to a national tournament in Grand Rapids at the beginning of October. And I'm working with her right now on her stamina and everything because she knows. And I told her, listen, pound for pound, you're going to be out muscled.
Yeah.
So if you're going to beat these guys, you're going to have to do it by outpacing them, out technique.
Yep.
And she can do
No,
it.
you're
I know
absolutely
she's a
right.
great fighter. She's also, I train her dad. I train MMA fighters, both men and women. I've been punched by both men and women.
Oh, he came on
Same
the show
size.
not that long ago and had a big old black eye.
Black
Yeah.
guy had a cut from an elbow. And the thing is
Is that from a woman?
that was actually from a guy. I did get the back of my head split from a woman though.
Okay.
So she came around. She did a really good job. She came around with a hook kick. So I was blocking the front thinking she was going to kick me straight on. And she hooked it around and clubbed me in the back of the head.
Oof.
And all of a sudden I reach back and I'm like, oh, there's blood. So
To
don't
compare, like,
think that
for
women
them to
can't
compare
fight. Trust
sport-
me. I know a lot of women that can beat a lot of guys'
Oh,
butts.
absolutely. But to compare like sports, which is a
But-
willing participant sport,
Right.
to consent to a sexual relationship.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the thing. So
That's what I don't understand.
so there's not too many people that will say, yeah, let's mix, let's have guys on the girls volleyball team. Let's have guys, competing
I'll never watch
against
women's
girls swimming.
volleyball
Let's
if
have,
there are guys on it now.
I love Michigan last year. They had the first all-girls state championship.
Mhm.
That was perfect. The girl that I'm training barely won during the season. She was second in the state in women's
Wow.
Nice.
because
Wow.
she was
That's
going
awesome.
against other females.
Mhm.
She's going to college next year. She already she hasn't signed because she can't do it until spring, but she's already got a college lined up to be on their team next year
Good.
for their
That's
women's
awesome.
team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So she knows when she goes up against guys, but that's not the issue here. He's trying to deflect against
Mhm.
going to saying something that most people will say, yeah, you're kind of right about that,
Right.
hoping that they forget about his original comment.
Mm-mm. No, I don't forget.
It ain't working, that's for sure.
And this
Doesn't work
is
with me.
a hill that I'll die on over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't care if
But
you don't want
he-
to be friends with me anymore. I don't care if you want to say negative things about me online anymore, because at the end of the day, I'm going to stand against people messing
Yeah, I
with
don't care
our
if you're a conservative, a patriot, whatever. Like at the end of the day,
I mean,
it's
me and
wrong.
you even talked about it, how like if Tex would have said something like that, there's no way I would have let it slide. We
Well, I would've
wouldn't be
drugged
friends
you.
anymore. That's my best friend. We would not be friends anymore. Done. Get away from me. Get out of my life. Stay away from me.
Right, right,
So
exactly.
for people to ignore it from a perfect stranger just is mind bending. Like nobody is friends with him. Just because he
It makes
interacts
you-
with you on the internet does not mean he's friends with you.
No.
The thing is something like that. The way that I look at it is, imagine if somebody that was watching your kids said something like that.
Mhm.
I would never let them around my kids
No.
No.
because I would
No.
not know what goes through their head.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely.
'Cause if you can defend it, doesn't mean
Yes.
that you
That means
also
you're rationalizing it.
right.
And if you can rationalize it, then you can agree and accept it and possibly act on it.
Yep.
Right.
I feel
Not
the
saying
exact same way.
not saying he's acting on it.
No,
So don't come and sue me saying that you're doing something you're not.
you're on the whiteboard.
I'm on the whiteboard now.
Oh, yeah.
But
The whiteboard.
what I'm saying is, it's not a slippery slope argument to say if you're defending it, you're rationalizing. If you're rationalizing, you're accepting. If you're accepting, you're acting. You can act on it. That's
And
always
it
you.
would be a quick answer, right? Like, do you support 15-year-olds giving consent to an adult relationship? No.
No,
That's it. That's the answer. There's no, well, this one time I knew that. No. No is the answer. It's
No.
very, very simple. And then we,
Well,
now
and I
we're
know-
seeing the backlash of like,
And
his
I know some
supporters, and it's
states have
worse.
that Romeo and Juliet clause and
Which
all that
is
stuff.
so
It's like, those are
different.
like 2 years.
California
like
has
2
the 10-year clause now, but they turned it from a felony to a misdemeanor
Yeah.
if you have a 10-year gap. And I'm like, yeah,
Again,
what
also
is
if
a,
you're
what
not
is
a
a
teacher.
10-year what is a 10-year gap? No, it's still
What
not.
is a
Put yourself-
25-year-old
put
say?
yourself back
Say
at-
somebody that's not a teacher, not in that position. What does a 25-year-old have in common
Exactly.
with a 15-year-old?
Sex.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
it.
put yourself
That's it.
back
That's
at
all it would be
25.
for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put yourself back at 25. I mean, why would you want to, whether you're male or female, look back and go, yeah, I want to date a high schooler?
Well, like my daughter is about to be 20. And when she has her friends and I'll stop over at her apartment or whatever, and all her little friends will be over there because it's like her first apartment and it's just a flop house. It never once. And they're 18, 19. They look like babies to me at 18, 19.
Isn't it strange
It's
looking
weird.
back?
Babies. So I'm like,
I
how
went and
is this?
visited
How is
with
this
my
getting
son.
confused?
I went and visited my old alma mater, CMU, which evidently sent out
Hey,
CUM.
that's actually where my daughter goes, is CMU.
And I'm looking around campus and I'm going, because I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll go back and get my teaching degree. I worked in film and television. I have a degree there. Maybe I'll get my teaching certificate. And I looked around and I'm like, man, do I feel old now?
Yes.
Like,
So when you hear this argument of like, well, yeah, like this, honestly, what's been the most disgusting to me isn't necessarily what came out of his mouth, but was the influx of supporters afterwards that were trying to make things okay.
That didn't help at all.
No, I mean,
he
the idea
went-
that like 12-year-olds can give consent. Whoa.
He went
like,
one
whoa.
way,
what are we
and then it
doing
was
here?
like everybody was that whole double down. He doubled down, then everybody else doubled down, and it
Yeah.
was just like
Well, then, like I said,
was
they
like,
come up with weird
this is a
arguments.
roller
there was-
coaster I don't ever
there
want to
was
be
that-
on.
Yeah, there was that one woman that said that. Again, I don't remember anybody's names from TikTok because I scroll so fast from
You're
one
good.
person and then hit the next. And next.
It's actually
Those
kind of
little
cool to like hear somebody's opinion that's not involved in it, but
Yeah,
wow.
so and she was talking about, well, there was these 16-year-olds that raped somebody that was 40, so you're saying the 40-year-old wasn't. I'm like, no, nobody's saying that.
It was a female creator, right? Because
Yes.
it's the same creator that had said, do I think that you can give consent at 12, 13, 14?
Yes, she
Yes.
said that too.
And
Yes.
I'm like, okay, now we've lowered. Whoa, like we've really
Well,
lowered
the irony
bar
of the whole
here.
deal is the funny thing is most of these people believe that you can't change your gender at that age, and that
Mhm.
the school curriculum needs to be a certain way.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden now with this scenario, it's like, are you serious?
Right. You don't want teachers
Blame
teaching
yourself.
your kids about gender issues, but you're cool with the teachers sleeping with your kids. Like, where?
Yeah,
what?
you don't want sex ed, but you don't mind your teacher sleeping with them.
You said something
Yeah.
during that one live with the whiteboard about clout. That's what this is. It's publicity in its way is publicity, either
Mhm.
good or bad. And the thing is, they're being looked at regardless of the situation. And that's what's terrible. Like, what are you willing to do for clout,
Yeah.
for those clicks, for those comments, for people to actually click on your page? And it's like,
Well, and then a lot of
Why-
it's just distaste for other creators. So there's like personal issues between two creators. And so, of course, this one can't agree with this one. And I get that for the
That
most
should-
part. Like, I've seen it
but the
happen.
thing
But, like,
is-
Or the
pedophilia
other thing,
should
and
be
I
one
see
of them.
this. I see this
I
on
could-
TikToks. I also see this on Twitter, any social media. They kind of do the same thing, with the national, where they again take something that is, in this case, very singular focused. 15-year-old, 25-year-old, teacher, student, and then trying to go, well, you're saying that, if just because they're older means that, again, I'm going back to this one, just because
Right.
she's older, she's always the one that's in trouble, even though this, 14, 15-year-old raped her. And it's like, no, that's a whole different situation.
Yes.
If there's violence involved, yes, a 15-year-old, I coach 15-year-olds.
Mhm.
I know that there's a lot of 15-year-olds that are my size
Yes.
and can overpower somebody older than them.
Yes.
That is completely different scenario
Mhm.
than this. But they like to take what you're saying or what, somebody says and make these false equivalencies
Right.
to something else.
Right.
Which
And-
really, to me, just looks like you're trying to excuse pedophilia. And
It
there's
is.
no
100%.
line in
It
it
is.
for me. I don't care about the situation. If it's an adult and a child, the answer is no. There is no situation
Always.
in which that is okay. Ever.
Never.
Like
I
they
do
brought
want
up
to take a
very-
side
very-
note in this conversation. Your minions are in our chat on YouTube, and they're just
Are they?
blowing it up. Yes, they
Are
are.
they really?
I can't see
Uh,
you guys. I'm sorry.
Going to
I'm
YouTube now.
I sat here and I've been saying hi to everybody that's coming in and everything, and I'm just like, wow, it just went from like 0 to 24 within like less than an hour, and I'm like,
Well, there's
That's
nobody in
fantastic.
our Rumble chat
Our
right
minion.
now,
No,
but
there's
that's
no
all
one in the
right.
I don't expect anybody in the Rumble chat,
I love
but
my
the
minions.
YouTube, yeah.
Rumble it's not necessarily our backup, but it's the one that we know won't get
Right.
Yeah.
taken down.
I know. We need
Uh,
to start looking into some options for ours with them banning ours. Like that was, because that annoys me more than you banning my accounts on TikTok. And I probably shouldn't say that out loud because then I'm letting people know it bothers me. But why do this one? You know what I mean? Like, we're not talking about drama over on YouTube for the most part. And if we do, we're talking about it like this. We're taking a circumstance.
YouTube's guidelines. It's their
Having-
guidelines. It's they're a lot more sensitive than you realize.
But if no one was reporting it it wouldn't be getting picked up. So
No.
like it's being reported by some jackass that just has a personal problem more than
Sometimes it's not even
Right.
them being reported. There's a YouTube moderation where they'll actually pull and actually play it. And it's like, and the minute you hint at anything that could be referenced into their guidelines
Mhm.
and it doesn't go and they don't like it, it's like the Facebook fact checkers. They'll just no. And it's like, really?
You're reading your personal emails now over on that
Yes,
Facebook. They're just like, hey,
Oh,
why
yeah,
do you-
we're gonna
Ryan, me
talk
and
about
you,
that.
some of the chats back and forth, or even the night of the election. Then looking at that, and I'm going, man, my Facebook messages
dude, our
blew up
our
from people the
Facebooks.
night of the election. People
isn't this
telling
old
me to
news?
go down and
Because, well, years back, I've gotten
They don't-
content violations in Facebook Messenger before. Like
What?
years
I've
ago.
never got one in Messenger.
Yes.
No, I've
No.
gotten them
No,
on
I
Facebook.
have gotten them in Messenger where I've been banned from messaging.
Wow. Nope.
Wow.
Never.
Yeah,
I
I've
didn't.
never-
I
I
didn't
didn't
know how long
that.
it was
You
going.
never told me that. That's crazy.
But I saw. But it hit the news because someone did a report on it. We were going to talk about that later, but it starting to get out there, and I'm like, that's just fucking weird. And it all has to come down to the FBI investigation, and that's the issue. That's the ultimate issue right there. But
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it is 9:30. I
Yes,
could only do
I
an
do
hour
gotta go.
tonight. With you
Thank
guys.
you.
No,
No,
we understand. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us.
if
No,
you guys
thank
want to
you.
promote your stuff real quick before you
Yeah,
hop
let
off.
people know where they can find you.
For us, like obviously we're on TikTok, but we get banned every other week. It feels like so. Like the mainstay for now, at least, is YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook on the Freedom Fam.
Mm-hmm.
Guys,
Yeah,
check
and
them out.
Man,
like our TikToks, Texas is usually always conservative text. Mine's always a variation of President-elect Kit Kat, or cat of some sort, but primarily over on YouTube with Freedom Feed.
All right. Well,
Rock
thank you
on.
for
All right,
joining us
folks.
and letting us know
Oh, thank you
the
guys for having
drama
me.
this week and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
we'll keep you
like-
updated. I'm sure there'll be more. I'm
oh,
sure
I'll
there'll be
keep.
more.
I'm subscribed to your TikTok now. I'll keep watching. Now I'm gonna subscribe to the YouTube and everything. And
Oh, and also before I get off, don't forget that Sunday night we are doing a fundraiser for the flood victims, and that'll be on my page, General Pribs page, Rebel Pickles page, and Cute KY Shop. We are going to have a bunch of things that you can win by donating. We also have an auction, and the highest bidder gets the infamous whiteboard. So don't forget to go over there and check us out on Sunday night.
Awesome.
all right.
This show will actually be edited tomorrow and posted tomorrow. So if you want to
If you're-
send all that digitally to me, I
Okay.
will put it in our show notes too.
Awesome.
It will be in
So-
our
People that are watching live, you can subscribe to us.
Yeah,
Please do.
subscribe,
Pretty much
guys.
any
Please
podcast,
subscribe.
and you'll have it by tomorrow.
on the best thing is we just hit Pandora on Monday, so our shows are now streaming through Pandora. I was really excited about that because Pandora is a pain in the ass to get on.
That's cool. That's awesome. Keep getting out there, guys. Keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for
Thank you.
having
You,
us on.
you also.
No, thank you. You
also
guys have a good
definitely.
rest of your
Thank
night.
you.
You
Have
guys
a
too.
great one.
Thank you.
That
Oh,
was
man.
fun.
That was a great conversation. Man, there was so much that happened this past week with them. And, it all comes down to, like they said, people are defending pedophilia. Whether it goes by Chris's textbook
I
Webster
think-
definition of it.
I was going to say, I think they're more, they are backing, in this situation, they are backing the wrong horse in the conversation.
Yes. Yes.
So since that is all done, I didn't get a chance to do any of our contacts. So always remember, I'm going to do our contact now, and then we're going to move on. So our website is firetalkradio.com. It is currently down. We're working on getting it back up. Check us out on YouTube. All those that are in our YouTube chat, thank you for joining. Please subscribe, hang out, like. We'll know when we're live. Go to Anchor. You check us out on Spotify, and anywhere you're streaming, you'll see us. Check it, or if you want to email us questions, you listen to past shows and you hear a topic you want to talk about, send it to firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Or call us at 814-380-9820. God, I
Yes.
actually remembered it. I actually remembered it without looking this time. And our music is always brought to you by Psychostick because they are fantastic and they are friends of ours. Shit, that was
That
just
that was an awesome conversation. So much to unpack there, but yeah, I'm gonna be following them. Not just for this. Definitely, Tex and Cat, great people, and
Yeah.
I'm glad you introduced me to them because, like I said, I just kind of watch
I
TikTok
didn't even.
and stuff from the outside.
So I'm like, I was sitting there watching it. I was sitting there watching all the mess, and I'm like, man, I gotta have them for the show somehow. So I messaged Kat, and Kat took her like a day, and she replied, and I sent her all the information. She's like, yeah, and then by Wednesday, I was like, I hadn't heard from them, and I was like, I bet you they're bailing. I got to build the show up just in case if they're bailing. I'm so glad they made it, and this was a great experience because it was a great conversation, the great back and forth. Because no one leave the children alone.
yeah, anybody that's listening, if you're an adult, even like I said, you have to have these boundaries so that what goes on in a student's head we can't control, but you're the adult, you are the responsible one. You are the one that doesn't let it get to any point. And if you're defending an adult's behavior with a child, you're on the wrong side. That's evil. That's morally reprehensible.
All right, so we're gonna start moving on here.
I love this.
Jason sent me this, and I was like, wow. So she thought she was buying a she shed. So a TikToker decides to think it's a she shed, but ends up getting a shed to cut costs and rent.
This is
She bought the shed for about $2,000. There's an air conditioner in it. It
not
looks
right away.
like.
There wasn't. Her dad,
No,
if you read down, her dad put the air. So she bought this shed to live in, her and her son. And she lives in Texas, and it was ungodly hot. Like it was blazes of hell, hot in there. No, I don't know if there was a window or not, but either way. And she didn't
those
do
sheds
anything.
get those sheds get warm
They
too.
get so hot. I have a she shed that we bought that I was going to turn into my office.
Ah,
And we
the
never did.
TikTok's down.
But she what basically happened is she dropped that, not realizing that in order to make those things halfway livable, you have to add more to them. They're a shed. That's what they are. So
Yeah.
they're 4 walls and a roof, no airflow, no cooling. You can put electricity in there, but there's no running water. There's no
no insulation.
No insulate. That's the other part. To keep the cold in and the hot out, or the cold out and the hot in, you have to insulate. Right now, based on the video when it was posted, and based on the photo, it's basically walls and 2x4, external walls and 2x4. So that thing gets, so hot. I don't understand how anybody would think that would equate like a tiny house. Have you ever watched Tiny House Nation or anything like that?
Yeah, I've seen like the Home Depot ones, like the 2-story ones, actually turned into a she shed or a livable tiny home. But it takes so much work, and you're sacrificing a lot of convenience for very little money.
Like I said, yeah. Well, I mean, you're saving a lot of money if you can get it livable. We did this with a hunting property that we have up north, and we bought a shed and we put it out there, and it's a pretty big shed. Like, you know, during hunting season, we normally get maybe about 6 guys because we put bunk beds in there, big bunk beds. And so to do that, though, we put in almost as much money into it as we bought it for. Because we bought insulation, we bought drywall, we bought out there was no electricity, so we wired it up to run off a generator. For when we go out there in the summer, because we do go out there in the summer periodically, we put an air conditioner in there. That costs money. We have a heater that we put in there for during the hunting season. You know, again, it's fine for a weekend or a week or short time, you know, but there's no running water in them. There's no bathroom. There's no, you know, none of the convenience that you need for a home. And it is not like you look at these tiny houses, they pump in water, or they have some way of putting water on the outside that's gravity fed. You know, they have water. They have certain toiletries. They have insulation. They have cooling. They have heating. That's all a part of the house. I still don't even get how she was able to get that like passed as a house. I don't think she ever did.
Probably not. Probably not
Even
at all.
even my shed out back, I had the township stop by. I don't know if they were doing a drive-by or if a neighbor like ratted on me or what, but they saw it and they saw me working on it, and all of a sudden I had to get permits, and it pissed me off because I'm like, it's a shed, nobody's living in it. Like, I was making it so that I could work out of it rather than a spare bedroom to free up a bedroom in our house.
That works.
But they didn't like that, so I had to do all this stuff. And I want to say, yeah, it probably cost me. I think mine was more expensive because mine actually looks like a little mini house. So probably more than she did. I probably paid for it, but it probably cost me a couple grand.
Yeah.
Just getting the stuff to make it livable during the day while I'm working out there, not living out there.
All right. So let's toss it.
We're tossing. Where are we tossing to?
So, oh yeah, we're tossing something. So we got an illegal immigration issue, I guess.
It's not even an issue. Oh,
But the border's secure, man. Border is secure.
border is so secure as long as they're not in my backyard. That's the Democrat liberal mindset.
So
There's nothing wrong with the border until it ends up in my backyard.
So DeSantis sent 50 some migrants to Martha's Vineyard. And everyone was upset because nobody told people of Martha's Vineyard that immigrants were coming. But they're a sanctuary city.
Yes.
They're supposed to be equipped to handle immigrants. Two busloads showed up at Kamala Harris's front door. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she never came out. The Secret Service agents came out to make sure that they don't go in, they don't disturb her home. Well, I mean, we wouldn't disturb your home if the border wasn't open. Because
So-
I mean,
So this whole thing, you have to remember, it started with who's the Texas senator?
Abbott.
Cruz. He's the governor.
Oh, the senator, yeah.
Ted Cruz said that he wanted to put through legislation that they would ship migrants from the border, because Don't forget, they're coming across the border. They're going into towns that have 30,000 people,
Yeah.
100,000 people. One town, I can't remember the name of it, or one city, has like less than 100,000 people, and they were getting an influx of 1,500 immigrants a day.
Yeah.
A day.
Like people were like living on the sidewalks. It was like San Francisco. They're gonna have a shit app soon
Right.
of where feces is in your
And
town.
the thing is the this administration is not doing anything to curb any of that. They're not trying to shut down the border. They're not doing anything to move people out. They're letting them live underneath the overpasses. I mean, you have thousands of illegal immigrants living under overpasses right on this side of the border. And they have a problem because 50 people get shipped into Martha's Vineyard, or a couple hundred get shipped into Chicago or Washington, D.C.
I wonder if Oprah was at her home in Martha's Vineyard when they showed up, because you know Oprah lives in has a home in
Well,
Martha's Vineyard. So
you
do
know,
the
with the-
Obamas.
Yeah, Obamas have like multiple acres in Martha's Vineyard. They have more than enough space to house everyone.
Yeah.
Here's a lawyer in Martha's Vineyard talking about this, and just the hypocrisy from them coming from these people.
They were told there was a surprise present for them and that there would be jobs and housing awaiting for them when they arrived. This was obviously a sadistic lie. Not only did those responsible for this stunt know that there was no housing and no employment awaiting the migrants, they also very intentionally chose not to call ahead to any single office authority on Martha's Vineyard so that even the most basic human needs arrangements could be made.
Do these border towns get notified ahead of time?
Depends on what side of the fence they're on.
I doubt it. What about when Biden ships them all over the U.S. into small towns in Iowa, northern Michigan, and
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania in the middle of the night? Are they notified?
They probably are, because they're Democratic states, so they're probably told, "Hey,
Iowa's
we're
not a
bringing
Dem-
it," but
Is
they're
Iowa a
not. It's
Democrat
just not
state?
public, huh?
Is Iowa a Democrat state?
I think it. I don't think. No, I think that one's a red.
So
Yeah.
But the point is you guys, you're literally like the richest island, the richest city around, and you're telling me you guys don't have the resources?
Ensuring that no help awaited the migrants at all was the entire point. It could not be clearer that this is an attempt to ensure that these people are ordered removed, even as they try as hard as they can to comply with the instructions provided to them. There is no other reason to list as someone's mailing address a homeless shelter in Tacoma, Washington, when they ship him to Massachusetts. To the people who find themselves, these wonderful people who find themselves plane wrecked on our island,
Plane wrecked?
I have a message for all of them. You are not alone. We have your backs. We are proud to be here for you. And we've got you.
Alone.
If the intention of those who perpetrated this horrendous act was to create a crisis, you have failed.
I wanted to break out into a Michael Jackson song.
She makes it sound like they were shipped to Alcatraz.
My thing is, they weren't even on a boat ever.
Like, they got on a air-conditioned flight,
Free, by the
Free.
way.
to them at least. It cost the Florida taxpayers money, but
Yeah.
to go to an island in the United States that very few people can visit because we don't have the money. You know,
Yeah.
a place that's good enough for the Obamas, Oprah, The Bidens. Didn't Biden fall on a bicycle there while he was
Yeah,
stopped?
probably. Hell if I know.
Biden was like, yeah, he was in Martha's Vineyard, stopped on a bike and fell
It
over.
fell over. Yeah, no, there's an actual like a goof off in Google Maps where it'll show up. Biden falls. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know it's funny when Google's trolling you now.
Right. So let me pull up. I
Let's
need
get
to
to some KGP.
hold on. Before we even get to that, I'm pulling up one more video. Again from TikTok, because TikTok is our go-to for everything.
It makes our little videos easier to fucking play.
Exactly.
Someone screenshot some of the comments from a Martha's Vineyard Facebook group, and the residents that live there are beginning to turn on one another, and it is fucking hilarious. And then you even have some of them beginning to claim there is a housing shortage in Martha's Vineyard. A housing shortage in one of the most affluent regions of the entire United States. Sounds like a lot of bullshit to me. Especially considering that a lot of rich people have a fourth or fifth home located in Martha's Vineyard.
So why don't the Bidens just invite them in onto their property then?
I don't think the Bidens actually have. They don't have property in Martha's Vineyard. They visit. They only have property in Delaware.
Okay. The Obamas.
There we go.
There we go.
I mean, they had
They
that
have
giant
more than
party
enough for
yeah.
that
They have
50
plenty of room. They
You
put
know.
that big white tent back up, and they let them have that giant tent as a little city.
Oh,
It'll
yeah.
work.
Yeah. You know, I bet Martha's Vineyard is nice this time of year, especially in a big white tent.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't mind. You know, put up some porta johns. Maybe one of them hand washing stations that you pump with your feet.
I could just see it.
You know,
Martha's Vineyard, home of illegals.
But again, it's not just Martha's Vineyard. You had the buggy-eyed mayor of Chicago,
Oh God, Lori Lightfoot.
Lori Lightfoot, talking about how this is akin to human trafficking.
I mean, the state of Illinois is going to be the purge on January 1st. So
It's again, these Democrats are so hypocritical. They want to spout off, yes, we're a sanctuary city. We want all immigrants. We want illegal. They just want asylum. They constantly say all that stuff. But then as soon as it's in their yard and they can see it, as soon as the vice president can look out her balcony and see that there's a Mexican out there, dear God, get that Mexican away from me.
right?
It's
I mean, she had the Secret Service making sure that they didn't get it onto the property. So there was that.
yeah. Okay, so you said you wanted to get into some press conference stuff.
Get some KGP
Yes.
or KPG, whatever. Queen Jean Pierre.
KJP.
KJP. There we go.
Yes.
My brain isn't working correctly with acronyms.
Are you going to bring it up or do you want me to?
You.
Oh,
I was waiting on you.
waiting on me. So I gotta bring this stuff up. So I gotta copy and then paste. All right. Why'd it bring up Discord? I don't want Discord. That's not it. See, this is what you get for putting me on the spot.
That's.
Let's see here. We got a ton of these, so this is in no particular order because there's just so many.
Oh, I mean, there's only like six.
All right, let's put this all. So we got this one going.
Is the administration considering moving some of these migrants from these border communities to other parts of the country to relieve some of the crowding that we've seen on board?
So there's always conversations happening about how to deal with changing circumstances at the border and improve border processing systems. I don't have any new policies to preview from here. We got to remember this immigration system was also decimated and gutted by this last administration.
Is the administration considering moving these migrants from these border communities to other parts of the country to relieve some of the crowding that we've seen on board?
So there's always conversations happening about how to deal with changing circumstances at the border and improve border processing systems. I don't have any new policies to preview from here. We got to remember this immigration system was also decimated and gutted by this last administration.
Is the administration considering moving some of these migrants?
Okay.
So the last administration had Title 42, stay in Mexico, had a wall to be
That was
built.
being built to stop this.
The reason why it halted, it didn't get built right away, is because the Congress was playing fuck around and find out with their money to get. If they had just given him the funds, maybe we should have funded a war in Ukraine to get the funds for the southern border.
Right.
Because there's like almost $500 billion of our money going to another country for them getting their asses handed to them right now.
Which is what, like almost 100 times what the wall is?
I think he only wanted like $8 billion.
$8 billion, yeah. So $8 billion to protect southern border, which has, we don't necessarily need a wall along the northern border. Nobody from Canada is trying to jump the border to get into the U.S. So
I don't think the Mounties would let that happen.
I don't know.
That and like they're 100% free on are legal on weed, so 10-1. Mostly everyone's just too damn high to care.
But this is the one thing that of everything the federal government is supposed to do, this is like the one thing they're supposed to do is protect our borders.
Because there's supposed to be walls put up, there's supposed to be cameras installed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just the walls. It's not just, we're going to put up a big giant fence. Because you have people saying, well, that's not going to keep people out. People can jump a fence. Yeah, but it's more than just the fence. You have cameras up. You have drone footage. You have,
those cameras that they're using are supposed to be motion sensors. So they're actively looking for heat signatures.
And the thing is just like, a lock doesn't keep someone out of your house. What it does do is it's a deterrent saying you have to work harder to get in my house. We had a rash of people stealing from cars in our neighborhood. You know the cars they stole from?
The ones that were unlocked?
Yeah. You know why?
Yeah.
Because it's a lot harder
Easier?
to get into a car that's locked. Then you're breaking glass, you're doing same thing. If you have a wall there and you have cameras and you have that's a deterrent. It makes it harder. You stopped it. Your very first day in office, you stopped it. And now
exactly
that you have to actually see like a small fraction of what these southern towns and cities have to deal with in red states, because they're not coming into blue states, they're coming into red states. And because you have to see a tiny, tiny fraction, you're seeing a tiny fraction of what this one town, like I said, that was getting 1,500 people a day, a tiny fraction of what this town was getting. You think they have the resources?
Then you have
one.
Just plan then to move migrants to the northern border to relieve some of the.
I was just asked about this question, but it's been already asked and answered. I answered that question.
I didn't understand what your answer was. Did you turn down the plan?
When this is over, you can look at the transcript and take a look.
So you won't clarify?
I literally, Jackie, I just answered that question.
So do you think then that the system that you have in place is working?
What we are asking for Congress to act. They should help us and work with us in finding a solutions, and they are not dealing with a broken system.
Is that an acknowledgement that
I just answered your question. We're moving on. Go ahead.
Why would?
Yeah, it's a broken system. I mean, she's not wrong there, but the thing is, like, there were policies and everything again in place that would have helped a lot. I think the main one is the Title 42, to stay in Mexico. Stay in Mexico until your asylum gets picked.
Yeah, exactly. Then you don't asylum judges. That was one of their things. Well, there's no asylum judges on the island. If they were staying in Mexico, that wouldn't have been an issue. What they're doing when they talk about human trafficking, they're incentivizing these coyote human traffickers, across the border and letting them die. They're bringing them up to the border. There was one interview, I couldn't find it,
Bringing children.
But there was one where the coyotes got them as far as the Rio Grande, and one of the guys said, "Yeah, I had a travel partner. I think he came from like Honduras or something, and he to the Rio Grande, but the water was right, and my travel partner was swept, and I never saw him again. Come to find out through the reports that the guy was found dead down the river." But they don't.
Yeah, that's where they're closing the wall at right there, because it's easier to close up the wall instead of building a bridge.
So,
I mean,
I don't know.
It's not the point, though. It's just there's a reason why there's a point of entry.
The Trump administration for what we're seeing everywhere, but the record crossings have been happening under President Biden. One migrant we interviewed yesterday thanks the president for keeping the border open. So I just want to confirm the way that this administration sees it, ending Remain in Mexico or Title 42 had nothing to do with the surge that we're seeing.
So let me just step back for a second and lay out what we have done.
What about the record crossing number? I mean, you're reading off, expulsions and things like that because all these people are coming over.
Yes, and they're also being encountered.
Yesterday, you repeated.
Not all
They're
of them.
being encountered. No, not all of them.
They're not. And then when they are being encountered, you're putting them into one of these towns, border towns, and saying, "Good luck. We'll contact you, or you contact us." And
usually
what
that
DeSantis
contact
is
usually doesn't
saying-
happen for like a year or two, because how long it takes to get in front of a judge.
Right. So I like DeSantis's rebuttal to all this. Have you heard this one yet?
Yeah, I saw it. It was DeSantis got real fucking snappy, and I was like, I am here for the snappiness, because he was like, yeah.
Yep. Here's DeSantis, what he has to say.
Governor Ron DeSantis responds to the freaking out because about 50 migrants to Martha's Vineyard when millions are pouring in through Republican states.
We are not a sanctuary state, and it's better to be able to go to a jurisdiction. And yes, we will help facilitate that transport for you to be able to go to greener pastures. Biden would fly people in the middle of the night, dump them all across this country. There was no warning on any of this. And all those people in D.C. and New York were beating their chests when Trump was president, saying they were so proud to be sanctuary jurisdictions, saying how bad it was to have a secure border. The minute even a small fraction of what those border towns deal with every day is brought to their front door, they all of a sudden go berserk. And they're so upset that this is happening. And it just shows you, their virtue signaling is a fraud.
Yep.
I mean, he hit the nail on the head on that one.
That's all it is. It's virtue signaling until it affects them.
Oh yeah.
Inflation isn't a big deal because we're multimillionaires, and well, it's a big deal to me. Sure, it's a big deal to you.
I'm happy I'm working from home so I can save money. So
on gas, but what about groceries?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about my grocery bill.
I just found a friend of mine to buy. I just found a friend to buy. Actually, it's my neighbor, has chickens, and I started buying eggs from him. And the reason is, well, one, they're better eggs. Like we always he gave me extra eggs when he had them and stuff. Now I'm like, dude, I will take any and all eggs and I will pay you for them, because I went down to the grocery. I go through probably, between me and my son, we eat a lot of eggs. We work out a lot, and eggs are as great protein and vitamins and all of that. So, and you can cook them quickly. You can make up any meal pretty quick with eggs, which is I love. So we go through, in a meal between the two of us, we go through half a dozen eggs. We each get about 3 eggs, and we cook them up and scramble or whatever we do with them that meal. And we might have them for breakfast, lunch, and then have a normal dinner. I feel like one of them shake commercials. Breakfast, lunch, and eat a sensible dinner.
Sure.
But the point is I went down to the store, and eggs a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, always ran between, depending on the store, 99 cents to $2 a dozen.
Yeah.
They were $4.79 on sale, down from over $5.
Yep.
Now, when I go to the store, I buy like 6, 8, 10 dozen at a time, because I don't want to go through them fast. I don't want to run down there every 2 days, every 3 days.
I do about 3 eggs a day for breakfast. And that usually lasts me about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. Because I get the 2 18-count cartons.
Yeah, we'll get the 18 or the 12 normally, but either way, 18. This was for a 12 count, by the way. This wasn't the 18 count. And I'm looking at this going, wait a minute. That means in a week I'm spending $30. Because if we go through 6 eggs in the morning, 3, and then we get another 3 eggs.
Yeah.
For lunch or dinner that day. Maybe the next day we don't eat. Whatever it is, go through probably about 2 or 3 dozen a week. I'm sure a lot of people are now going to jump on going, oh, your cholesterol has to be high and all that stuff. No, our cholesterol
Whites
is
are
fine.
bad. Yolks are bad.
Yeah,
all of it's
that.
good.
Well, yolks have the vitamins in it, but the whites have the protein, so you should just be eating the whites. And listen, we eat the whole egg outside, not the shell. We eat the whole inside of the egg. And my cholesterol,
Feed the shells back to the chicken.
he does do that, yeah. Actually, my wife puts them in the garden. She crushes them up and saves them and puts them in the garden for calcium.
Well, I was watching someone on TikTok. He goes, I give my chickens red pepper flakes because they don't have taste buds. I'm like,
do they have heat sensors?
Nope.
Like, can they taste capsaicin, like the spiciness?
They cannot.
So
I wonder if that makes spicy eggs, though.
I don't know. But either way, now to Biden, who thinks that everything is hunky-dory with the just came out and said the economy was great. He literally just came out, what was it, this week, I think?
It was during the Inflation Reduction Act signing. He was out. He was like, he popped a cork and yada, yada, yada. But on the same screen, everyone was watching the stock market fucking tank.
Pummel.
12,000 points. I was like, does he not, how did no one, I mean, it was to the point CNN was like, that's great. Go do something else. And they had to get away from it because they were like, yeah, this is kind of hypocritical. You're talking about how great our economy is, but yet we're watching the stock market in real time tank on live television.
Right. It's bonkers.
Yeah.
It's complete bonkers that, like, how can they with a straight face try to make these spins?
There's
or
a
to
handful.
Say we're not in a recession.
No. If
Even
you don't
if
like
you-
the definitions, it's time to change the definition. And I'm like,
You know-
you can't change a fucking definition. Definition is a definition. Recession is a recession. We're in a recession. You can't just spin a new definition on it. We're still falling down. We're still below where we were when the previous administration was in effect. Like far.
Right. And
like, I thought I was middle class and I just found out I'm poor again. Far.
right.
down.
Right, exactly. That's us too, and now we're looking
and now I'm like,
everyone is trying to look at second jobs, or him saying, well, rises are up, people are getting raises again. No, raises are not up to what inflation is. Raises are up like 2%. Inflation is at 10%.
8.6.
That means 8.6. So that means you actually are making less than you did a year ago.
Yeah.
And then here's the other kicker. How do they rate inflation? It's year over year.
Yep.
So you look at what it was a year ago, you look at it what it is now. Is it higher now than it is a year ago? Yes.
No.
That's the inflation rate. They literally went, well, inflation is going down. No, from a year ago to this point, and last month to the same point, a year ago last month, inflation has gone up 0.1%. But from last month to this month, which is only a tiny little sliver of time, inflation minutely dropped because gas prices dropped. Because Biden is flooding the market with, well, he's not really flooding. He's putting 1 million barrels into the market a day. And
Because I think half of it's now going to China.
yeah, I think you're right. But, and people can't afford to drive it right now. So gas prices has dropped slightly from where it was back in June. Remember in June, it was over $5 a gallon. I remember because I drove down to a wrestling camp at the time, and it cost me $200 and some odd, $250.
Yeah, I don't. We had to cancel like all our vacations because
We haven't gone on any vacations this summer since then.
We were going to, but then gas got to the point to where it's like, no, I can't do it.
Normally in the summer, we have a cabin. I don't have a cabin. My parents have a cabin. But I normally go up there during the summer every weekend, every other weekend.
Yeah.
Because it takes roughly a half a tank of gas to get there. Well, get there and back. So a quarter of a tank one way. We're looking at that quarter of a tank and we're going, that needs to get my wife to work. That needs to get me to work. That needs to get us to the grocery store. We need to make this gallon or this tank of gas last as long as we can. We're not driving to vacation. I'm not driving across the state to go to Michigan Adventure. I'm not driving to Cedar Point. And on top of that, diesel is still incredibly high. And where does all our food come through? Where do all our goods come from? They come from trucks that run on diesel.
Mm-hmm.
So there's added cost to everything else. So you have the price of food went up, the price of housing went up, the price of energy went up. We have solar, so our energy cost is cut because of solar, thankfully. But
that was good.
It's still higher than it should be because the price of electricity went up. And they're charging more money if between the hours of 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Now the price of natural gas is going up. So what's going to happen in the winter when we all have to heat our homes? Because we live in the north.
Giving all of it to Europe. Because remember, Trump said it during one of his speeches over there that if they didn't get their shit together, that they were going to be depending on Russia, and Russia's going to turn it off. Now look what Russia did.
Guess what Russia
turned
did?
it off.
Russia turned it off. Come this winter, Germany's going to have a hard time heating their homes.
A lot of countries are going to have a hard time heating their homes.
You know,
all.
Right
And
down
it's like,
to a lot of the countries in Europe actually took natural gas off of the carbon environmental so that they could start using their electric plants again.
Mm-hmm.
And they can start pumping again. I mean, this is bonkers. It's a crazy world we're living in right now.
And all, but I mean, it's coming down to where with the natural resources, it's going to be a cold winter this year. Because what? Most of our natural gas is now going to be going overseas because we're selling it because they made deals. And it's like, wait, shouldn't you take care of your own first before?
Well, and our
we help
strategic
everybody
oil
else?
reserves is the lowest point it's ever been. That's according to the Wall Street Journal and just about every other publication.
Did you see that they wanted the U.S. military reps to be on food stamps?
No, that's a new one to me.
So the administration said, oh, well, to combat inflation, our U.S. military officers should apply for food stamps. I'm sorry. Where the fuck do you get off telling our armed forces, oh, well, we can't pay to feed you. Please go get free money to go feed yourself.
So basically, it's federal government paying to feed them or go on food stamps, which is state government.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want to do. They want to shift the burden from the federal government to the state government.
Correct. And yeah, it was just a few days ago It was in the post where they suggested all military officers to apply for food stamps, and that's
So,
that's just low, I think.
Well, and then on top of that, we have the railroad strike. So,
Well, they have a tentative agreement at this moment, but Bernie Sanders. But I got to find where it is. Bernie Sanders said we shouldn't do that. We need to be on the side of the employee, not the employer. I believe the tentative agreement helped a lot of the employees to get what they wanted. And it's simple. They wanted to be able to use their sick time. They wanted to be able to use their vacation time. They were promised raises. They weren't asking for those, but they were like, hey, it's there. Don't forget about that. They're asking for like the bare necessity stuff that I guess we would take for granted. I didn't know this. Fucking train operators or anyone that works for the railroad, they're on call 24/7.
That makes sense.
Right? So you could be on duty for like a week and be traveling by train, but always be on shift. And it's like you're missing events, you're missing all this stuff. And then you put in for time off, and they're like, oh, we don't have enough people, so no.
Well, there's also the flip side to that, though, which is I don't believe that unions should be negotiating with the government. So first off, you have
no. They weren't. The union was negotiating with corporate, with the higher ups of management. The Department of Transportation, Mr. Buttigieg, is supposed to help facilitate those because those railways are being used for those contracts.
But here's the thing is, and this goes to a lot of union things like this. Unions is basically like the left says that corporations are funding the Republican Party. Well, unions spend billions of dollars funding
on the Democratic Party.
The Democrat Party, because they want Democrats in because they can push over Democrats. That's why the union wants Democrats. And
I'm part of a union and where I work at. And yes, my union they were supporting the Democratic Party. But when we go to the conventions, you could see those it was half and half, like half conservative people and then half you could see the disarray. And it's like
I am so glad Michigan became a right to work state, because I do not want my money going to support a Democrat.
Well, that's the thing.
If I wanted to support a Democrat, I would pay him directly.
Yeah, if you pay into the union, fortunately, it is whatever the union decides. They have a separate thing called PAL. That money is for that purpose, but the dues that are supposed to be going in are strictly only to go back into the union itself. So
but that doesn't work that way.
I understand.
Money is fungible. Money is fungible. And I know from being a part of the unions that in places that I work, they were flat out telling us that we are supporting this candidate. You need to, and they were sending us literature on it. And then that candidate is saying, we got X amount of money from this union that I am forced to be a member of in order to work for that company.
Yeah, it happens. So,
and you know what? Personally, the unions never did anything for me personally.
The union really, because I am a member of our union, it was great for battles with management that really overstepped their boundaries. So I found this. So this is with Bernie Sanders and everything. With the railway. Give me a second here. Let me pull this up. I know this is so fantastic. All right. This is from Bloomberg. So you can not yell at me if I don't use Fox or anything, because
I can't hear it. Play the sound. I can't hear it. Ryan.
Oh, did it not come through?
No. Make sure
Hang
you're
on.
check marking the
I must not have check marked the box right. My apologies. We're gonna try that again.
So, Mike, I know you're going to say that a lot of times these strikes get resolved in the last minute. Okay, let's pretend that we know that for a second. In the meantime, what kind of goods have stopped being transported, and then what's the economic and inflationary effect?
Well, they've already stopped ammonia shipments, which are a key ingredient in fertilizer, and that's a big deal for American farmers because ammonia is so volatile. They don't want it sitting around in tank cars if all the trains have to stop. This afternoon, Norfolk Southern is going to stop taking deliveries of cars at its rail loading sites. So the automakers are going to not be able to transport new vehicles to dealers. And we've already heard Amtrak has canceled some of its long distance service that runs over freight railways, freight owned rail lines. So we're already starting to see some effects, but it's obviously, if this goes through, going to be a much, much bigger impact, as much as $2 billion as Riddick.
So 6 railways, 100,000 workers. Dispute not about pay, it's just working conditions. And, I mean, and that is something that is, I think, something they should fight for. Working conditions. And they didn't stop working during the pandemic. They had to keep going. And the shutdown is going to cost $2 billion a day because, like he said, ammonia they're not transporting it. So now farm goods are going to go up because the price of fertilizer is going to go through the roof. Cars, like you said, cars aren't going to be transported. Now car values are going to go up because you're not moving them.
Well, look at truck values.
Oh yeah,
because of the chip shortage and all that stuff. When I sold my truck last year, I think I was offered 10 or 12,000 more than what I still owed on it. Like, we're not talking like, oh, it's, your truck, you owe 27,000, but it's worth 30,000. Like the Blue Book said, it was worth 30,000. I owed 27. I was offered like almost $40,000 for it because of the shortage, because these car dealerships knew that they were going to get that money from somebody,
and they were having a hard time getting used cars anyway. So used cars were their golden ticket,
right? Especially trucks.
All right, let's see
I
what
wish
else
I
they
didn't
have.
sell it now.
I said a day, according to the American Railroad Association, and 28% of U.S. freight, which would account, according to the American Trucking Association, you'd need
almost a third.
Huh?
Almost a third of all U.S. freight.
50,000 additional trucks a day to make up for that capacity.
It's a lot of trucks. Mike, one of the things that a lot of companies learned during the pandemic was they need bigger inventories. Is that inventory cushion still there, and will it protect firms from a relatively short-term strike?
Well, it goes industry by industry, and a relatively short-term strike probably won't hurt all that much because there are stocks and they could rebuild them. It will just stretch out that process. Biggest issue coming up is going to be agriculture because it's almost harvest season. So trying to get grains, et cetera, to where they need to be is going to be a major issue if this should happen and drag on for a little while.
Can we ship the stuff? And I ask because the Jones Act requires that you ship stuff in the United States, but with a U.S. ship crewed by U.S. personnel. They've been trying to get that repealed for quite a bit in terms of, say, petroleum products. Is that an option right now that people are talking about?
Not yet. It is not a major issue yet because most of what we're talking about goes inside the United States back and forth. But to the extent things are shipped overseas, because they are going overseas, they can use foreign flag vessels. They just can't go from U.S. port to U.S. port. So at this point, it's not a major
Hawaii
issue.
and Alaska, you are completely fucking screwed.
Yep.
About things that are going to be canceled. One of the things that's going to happen, like Amtrak with its freight railroad lines, any commuter rail lines that go over freight lines could be shut down. And they're talking about that for Chicago. They're talking about that for Washington, D.C. So a lot of people might not be able to get to work.
A lot of people have learned lessons on that front. Working from home has become more normal. It's certainly something that we've got very used to here in the UK as the strikes have taken place. People have just gone, you know what, I'm going to fire up the office system at home. We're good to go. So it's going to be interesting to see what impact that ultimately has. Mike, boil it down for us. What impact could this have on PPI? What impact could this have on CPI?
Well, nothing yet, but it's going to, if it happens, it will have a major impact on CPI because transportation costs are included in the retail final selling price. PPI, not so much, because PPI is what you pay the producer when it leaves the factory gate before it gets on the train. So that won't have as big an impact. But you look here at, this is the kind of chart of the day, I think, for inflation. The purple line shows the number of products that are experiencing a more than 4% inflation rate on an annual basis. And that's up to 60% of what's in the CPI. It shows how broad-based the inflation pressures are. So the last thing we need is something else that adds to inflation.
Yeah. Oh God. Now I lost it because he said something in there that I was gonna jump on, and then I'm like, oh, I'll hold off till the end. And then he said something else, and my ADHD kicked in. And
my thing is, like you said, it's gonna be $2 billion a day.
I'm thinking more because don't forget, if they have to ship more of them across through trucks, that means all that diesel, extra diesel, and everything. And then, yeah, he said it's harvest season. Okay. I live next to a sugar factory. Not next to, it's a couple miles away, but I see all of the trucks taking beets from trains, because we do live next to a train stop for grain and sugar beets and stuff. From train, they load them onto trucks. They take them to the sugar beet factory. Those trains stop. That means they have to get trucked all the way from point A to point Z at the sugar beet factory. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of trucks. Figure one train car can probably hold the equivalent of what, 5-10 trucks worth.
Probably.
So it's things are getting worse. Things are getting so much worse.
I know it's always
I don't know
going
what
to
to
get worse
say.
before it gets better. And
at least for my meat, I was able to stock up on a couple deer last year. I'm hoping this year I get a couple more.
Pete Buttigieg is the transportation secretary, right?
I don't know. He's been, you're talking about somebody that goes on maternity leave and nobody realizes he's gone.
What does Pete Buttigieg do?
Oh, he is the transportation secretary.
He is the U.S. Yeah, he is the Secretary for Transportation. So this,
And
if
he
if
was
this
so qualified
happens,
for it. He was so qualified for it because he was the mayor of a tiny town in Indiana, South Bend, Indiana, that he couldn't even fix the potholes. He lost a governor race. He lost a presidential race, but he's gay.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a husband and now a child that they adopted. And
my
he went on
thing
maternity
is,
leave.
okay, so you talk about all the black blemishes that he has on his record, right? If this strike happens, he's going to also, not only are the corporations that are over the rail lines going to be responsible to try to fix it, he's going to be responsible for it too, because he has to be over that system. He has to be able to be over those contracts for what he won't be able to pull his head out of his ass.
No.
At all. So that's going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
So this is still an ongoing issue, so we'll keep an eye on it and we'll update it once more information's about the strike, because and they're not striking. Before anyone says they're striking for dumb shit, no, they're striking for everyday use of their sick time. If they're actually sick or their kids are sick, or there's there's a family emergency or something like that, for them to be able to take the time. Because right now they're just, because they're so shorthanded, they're just saying no.
Right.
And it's either go to work or you use your time, but yet you don't have a job at the end of it.
Right. I mean, it's this whole thing is, this whole administration right from the get-go has had crisis after crisis, but these are all crises that they created. That's the issue, is that these aren't like, crises that started because, they were already, at least Obama could make the argument. I didn't think it was a great one, but he could make the argument that he came in with a recession.
He was a good soothsayer when it came to the talking on the microphone. Yes.
Yeah.
He had that presence when he hit the microphone.
Biden created all of this. That's the thing.
But he didn't. He says he didn't know. He his policies caused all of this.
Biden could have come in, not signed a thing, said, okay, I'm going to go to sleep for the next 4 years, and things would have been smoother because he was given everything he needed for things to get better. I still hate that him and liberals go, well, he created more jobs than any other president in the United States. No, he fucking did. You can't put someone in a coma, which is basically what the Democrats did. They put the country in an artificial coma because it was the Democrat governors that did it. You can't have a doctor put someone in a coma, 6 months later wake them up and go, I cured a coma. No. And that's what they did. The Democrats put the country in a coma. When it's coming out of it, they say, we created all these jobs. You didn't create jack shit.
All right.
There's still less jobs now than there was before the pandemic.
You're not wrong. But you want to know about one job that's very interesting? The special master to the Mar-a-Lago raid that has now been appointed.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump actually requested this person. The DOJ said, yes, that would be fine. Senior judge Raymond Durley. So that name actually should be more familiar to everybody, and they probably don't even realize it. So Durley was the FISA judge during the Russian hoax scandal. This is where the FBI went, asked him for a FISA warrant to start spying on the former administration. I wonder if he realizes that now how everything is, that the FBI lied to him. Is he going to be okay with it or not?
So this could go one of two ways. Okay. And I don't know what this judge is thinking. I don't know what's going through his head. It could go one way, which is he knew at the time that he was being bullshitted and let it go, and he doesn't care. And if he didn't care then, he may not care now. Or he said, you fooled me once, you bullshitted me before. I'm not going to let you bullshit me again. I want to see everything, not just that, oh, we got a warrant because we had probable cause. It's, I want to see every little bit of that probable cause to find out if this was good enough. And what you're saying is happening is really happening.
Correct. So
basically, it's a fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you kind of scenario.
It's going to be interesting to watch because the DOJ didn't want a special master, period, because they wanted to be able to do this and be able to say whatever they chose to say, because Garland has been weaponized. The FBI been weaponized. And that's the thing, and no one wants to question that. No one is trying to question it, and those that are questioning are being silenced, and we are doomed to repeat what happened in Germany, because this is very similar to what happened. The government at the time turned a new regime, everything got changed, everyone got called out. It will end up in this way unless we stand. And because if this goes the way I would like it to go, he's gonna be like, no. That's what I'm hoping. He's gonna give a big fat no.
Yeah. So, all right.
Let's do some TikToks.
We need to close things out. Let's go to some fun stuff. Let's go to some TikToks. All right. Our favorite app now, TikTok. We love you guys. Don't ban us.
If we ever actually start posting on there.
If we ever actually start posting.
Notice the plastic knuckle-covered gloves for fighting. That's what they wear. It's part of the costume.
I don't know who Charlie Kirk is. I mean, I've heard like things that like TPSA is like a fascist, pro-fascism, anti-Muslim, anti-trans, etc., etc. I don't.
Pro-fascism? I don't think that means what you think that it means.
I don't know anything about it. There's so many people here that I mean, like, there must be some sort of pattern.
Yeah, I hear you, but at the same time, I don't think just because there are numbers that you necessarily have to give credibility. Just because their voice is the loudest doesn't mean it's right. That's kind of what we prove here at Fleckis Talks. But the mob is the mob.
And the mob is
nobody's side.
He's already told me he is not on either side.
I'm just letting.
And you're in the middle, and you're here.
Did you see the Antifa person trying to stop him from talking?
Oh yeah.
covering both sides, and you're not calling for shutting down free speech. So there's no reason to.
I don't think either should be shut down.
Okay, real quick before we go any further, does he have? Is that a wooden spoon connected to his microphone?
It is.
Okay, it's not just me like seeing things.
No,
You hear them chanting "Shut it down."
I hear them chanting "shut it down." I don't think it should be shut down.
So you're on our side.
No,
Don't tell them that. They're gonna. I know. But if you did say they were, you might get hit with the bike lock or something. Isn't that kind of scary?
No.
She is just
Yeah.
staring.
She is like hovering, like waiting for a reason to attack.
She's like
Wearing
ready to like
fighting gloves!
snatch him. She's like ready to snatch him off the fence line. I told you not to fucking say anything.
Exactly. What are you doing talking to him? He's a fascist. Even though we're the ones trying to shut down free speech, he's the fascist. Doesn't that's bonkers. I'm using that thing a lot because I think I listened to Joe Rogan all week, so he uses the word bonkers a lot. But
He does use the word bonkers.
it's crazy. Like they're literally out there with fighting gloves on to beat people with that want to go see Charlie Kirk talk, claiming he's fascist or neo-fascist or whatever else they want to give it, when they're the ones literally trying to threaten people not to go see him. Okay, this is a funny story.
So my 10-year-old comes home with a pocket full of money today. I said to him, "Where'd you get that? I know you didn't bring all that to school." And it turns out my little enterprising 5th grader aspires to be a loan shark because he started a new school this year. And I told him in the first few weeks of school, just be yourself. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and, find a way to start new conversations and find out about new people and blah, 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 blah. Stuff you're supposed to say. So we're in the 4th week of school, and I find out that he's been posting up at the vending machines offering interest-free loans to anybody who doesn't have money for a snack or a drink today.
That sounds
And yes,
nice.
interest-free loan as long as you pay it back at the agreed upon time and date. And by doing so, no harm, no foul, just a couple of kids helping each other out. Great way to start a conversation, make some friends, establish a little bit of trust, reliability, friendly face. I think it's actually pretty smart. And then I said, well, you're taking a big risk because not everybody's going to pay you back. And then I think, you didn't bring that much money to school. How much money are you loaning? Then the whole thing, the doors blow off this thing. Because then he tells me, well, most of this is interest. What? What? He says, yeah, it's an interest-free loan as long as they pay it back. What happens if they don't pay it back on time? He says, well, then they got to pay for it. Pay interest payment, flat fee, and after days, it doubles to $1. And then after that, it doubles exponentially into perpetuity. And he's got on his face. And to be honest with you, TikTok, I don't know, proud or concerned. Do I get an LLC or a life coach? Maybe both.
Life coach.
He the life coach. I mean, the kids go places one way or the other, I guess.
I feel like he's just learning from school loans. Like,
you know what's sad is I did that in school.
Like, what's he gonna do if people aren't going to pay him back? Or is he gonna have someone break their knees, or like what does a 10-year-old mob boss do? Because that's essentially what he became. He became a mob boss. He's like, yeah.
I will admit I did that in school. I literally would go to school like I would save up. I would save up like 2 weeks worth of allowance, and then I'd go and I'd be like, I'd lend it out. Like, all right, pay me back by this time, great. If not, there's interest. It's a quarter a day. And sometimes they wouldn't give me back for like another week after I lent them the money. So I'd like, well, I lent you $2. Now you owe me like $6. They're like, oh, here you go. And they wouldn't think anything of it. And I'm like,
see, if you were really smart, it would have been compound interest.
I could have compound. Yeah, no. Well, it was because it was 6th grade. We did a New York trip. My parents wanted to give me money, like to buy shit with. My dumbass has $200 in my wallet. And I was like, no, Mom, Dad, I got it. I got my own money. And then I had to fess up how I got the damn. And I'm like, they're like,
did you get a lot?
No, I got like the fucking most disappointed look on their face ever. They're like, I don't know whether to be proud or fucking terrified.
I don't know how I would react if my son did that, because I'd be like, okay, it's basic interest, or it's basic loans like everybody, but at the same time, you are kind of a mob boss. So, all right, let's listen to the liberal professor.
Oh, God.
I was there to support the women that were getting a legal and safe abortion.
Oh, there's such thing as a safe abortion? Can you?
Much safer than a coat hanger.
What is a safe abortion? Does the baby ever survive?
See you later.
The most basic right is the right to life.
Mm-hmm.
So why should any child be killed by abortion?
You gonna take care of them? You can adopt them?
Are you
Feed them?
Can you take care of all the poor?
No. See, that's the thing.
So, do the poor deserve to live?
Of course they do. If they're already born.
So why are you depriving the unborn of their lives? If you're in favor of taking care of the poor that are alive, why would you want to kill those who might be poor?
Yeah.
I think her brain like fucking had an aneurysm and she just.
That's the problem with the argument for abortion. Once you stretch it out past that little minute argument that they have, it doesn't hold up.
All right, next.
All right. Moving on. I don't know what this one is.
Today on News It's Happening, but it's not really news because we told them a long ass time ago, but they refuse to listen, so it's not really news to anyone. We're just sitting back and laughing as everyone struggles. You see, BLM is suing BLM because BLM believes BLM owes BLM money. Jesus Christ, that hurt my head. In layman's terms, they're just ripping themselves to shreds over money. There's a lawsuit in the works so certain parts of BLM can't even access BLM accounts. All of this after the co-founder left the organization after she somehow just managed to buy a few multi-million-dollar homes. How is this news? Because
in white neighborhoods.
Doing money off the top. We told you they weren't actually spending any of the money where they said they were spending the money. Like, this isn't news. We told you this.
Yeah.
You called us racist for telling you this.
Yeah. I agree with them. It's news, but it's not really news because we knew that this was going to happen.
That's where the conspiracy theorists end up being truth tellers, because all the shit that they figured out, they're like, yeah, this is what's happening. No, it's not. And then it comes out like, yeah, it was.
Well, the thing is it's called logic.
No, I know.
Kind of like, again, I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he had on what's the name of the football player? The
from Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers from Green Bay.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, didn't take the vax, and he said that he had he was allergic to something in it that's like a preservative or something like that, understandably. And he said that they actually brought in somebody to try to persuade them to take the vax, saying if you get the vax, you won't catch it and you won't spread it. And he's looking at him going, there's like 5 vax people that are not here today because they caught COVID.
Yep.
Like, how can, like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize you're wrong. It takes logic. You literally have to trick yourself to believe some of the stuff that the left says.
That was the narrative.
Because if you literally just look at it, it's there. Like the whole Vex thing. And now we're going to get kicked off YouTube again.
It's all right. Just check us out on Rumble.
Yep. All right. Next one.
Remembering Your 90s Childhood, Part 1.
Oh, I used to love this show. It's on Paramount now.
Yeah, but it's not as good as it used to be.
They have the old show on there.
Oh, do they? I'll have to
Yeah.
look for that.
I think they have an updated version also. But
Yeah, I don't- the
they do
updated
have
one is
the
not
old
as fun.
original one. That actually has one of my childhood crushes, Jennifer Hewitt, or Love Hewitt, I think she went by at the time.
She still goes by Jennifer Love Hewitt.
No, just Love Hewitt. Drop the
Hmm.
Jennifer at the time. Because she was also, if you remember, in Kids Incorporated on Disney.
Yes.
And she was like just slightly older than me on there. So, yeah.
Yes. On Fox.
I don't watch that.
That's
Is it good?
pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty decent.
I might have to check that out.
Um,
Yes. Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was, and it was always Saturday night on Nick. Snick. Remember
oh,
Snick?
yeah. Oh,
They
God.
had The Secret Life of Alex Mack. They had that. They had a couple other
Doug.
things.
I
Doug.
think
Oh,
Doug-
no, they had all that.
all that.
Yep. And then I think Amanda Bynes had her own show on there at one point.
Mhm.
And then they had Keenan and Cal.
Yep.
But it always ended with Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Because that one was like at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was the 10 o'clock before it went to Nick at Night.
And it was awesome. Like, there was like a short time in your childhood, in my childhood, where I wasn't old enough to go out on Saturday nights, but there was nothing to do on Saturday nights, and then Snick came.
All
Yes.
right. So, I think
One
that we're
last
gonna-
one.
Last one?
Last one. Last one.
Go for it.
Okay.
If you're a butt doctor, please stop scrolling. If I have a cut on my arm and I place feces inside it, it will get infected. But if I have a cut or a hemorrhoid on my butthole, when feces slides past it, it does not infect it.
Your chocolate starfish is
Okay. So that was the question. Yeah. I love the look on your face right now.
I'm not high enough for this shit.
We're going to get the answer on why this is. Not that you ever wanted to know, but now. Okay.
If you had to watch it, now I have to watch it situation.
immune system does different things in different parts of the body. And to stop you getting a raging bumhole infection when you get a cut down there, you have 2 weapons in your arsenal. 1, the mucosa, the inner lining of your intestines that produces mucus that acts as a protective barrier against germs. And number 2, immune cells that live in the lamina propria. This is a layer just underneath that inner mucosal lining. And these cells constantly sample bacteria from the intestine. Antibodies that can neutralize these bacterial proteins, and the body can tell the difference between good and bad bacteria. So if you get an injury down there and the bacteria try to sneak in, your bum squad, aka the gut associated, is ready.
Oh, not that you ever wanted the answer
He
to
said
this.
butt squad. He said butt squad. I'm done. I'm good.
Now you know. This is a fact that you now know.
It's a fact I didn't want to know. How about that?
But now you know. Just because
But I
you didn't want to
know, nor
now
did
you
I
know.
care.
Now you know. All right.
This is not G.I. Joe. I didn't need to know this half of the battle. Fuck. This is not that argument.
I don't think I can stop laughing. I'm coughing now.
Oh, the fact that I threw a G.I. Joe reference in.
Yes. Oh, close us out before my head explodes.
All right, so again, this is episode 48. It is September 16th. Check us out on our website, firetalkradio.com. Email us about anything about the show, firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Phone number is 814-380-9820. And check us out on YouTube and all your streaming platforms. Thank you again. We're on YouTube and Rumble, so subscribe, like, I'll get the information. Thank you all again, and good night.
Good night. Oh, please play. Please play. Dang it, the outro's not playing, and I can't stop. I can't hold back this laughter. We're just going to end it here. Goodbye.
All right, good night, everybody.